O'clock, and I want to welcome everybody and thank you very much for coming to this Gibsons Community Leadership Forum. This is, you'll recall, we tried to do this in March. We had a plan, we had an agenda, we thought we had it all going, and then it didn't happen. But I didn't want to leave it. I'd like to see this be done as an annual event where we can all get together. And I think you'll recognize yourselves from around the screen that we're all organizations that are involved in more or less on the social side of the community and supporting each other. And we go through that tonight. I hope that'll become even more evident to everybody. I acknowledge that we live in our meeting this evening on the traditional territory of the Squamish Nation. And to that end, I've invited Anne Wannock. And Anne, I apologize, I can't pronounce your Squamish name, but Anne's a Squamish elder who's going to do an opening for us. So Anne, thank you very much for coming, and I'll turn it over to you for the next few minutes. Thank you.
On Hoth and Squalowin, Quisclake, Quachnomi, Tenoyapan, and Ciai, to Squalls to Seats. I'm really glad that you all came here tonight to this circle on Zoom. And I say, Kayachton, I welcome you to our unceded Coast Salish territory of the Squamish Squamish Nation. And I'm grateful and honored to be able to open your meeting tonight. My late grandfather was Sequalton, Dominic Charlie, and his grandfather and great-grandfather lived in the village that was at town of Gibsons. And that's where our traditional ceremonial masks that our family carries come from, through that legend of Sconchton and Skalauton. And so it's really significant that I was asked through my nephew, Setaughton, to contact Mayor Beamish and Lindsay to be able to join you all and do this welcoming and opening for you all. And you know, our people have always believed in Chomot, being one, in Chomot and Squalwyn, one heart and one mind. And my late grandfather shared with me when I was young the word Chen Chen Stwite, standing and working together to hold each other up, support one another, help one another. And that's what I understand all of you help people in your communities, help them with different services, help them find affordable housing, help provide services. And that's being Chen Chen Stwite. And in this time of COVID and all that's happening in the world with, especially in the United States with the racism and discrimination, it's about learning to be, as we say, we don't say that, we say we're Stalmo, we're the people, human beings. And that's what all of you are, human beings. And we need to live together and work together, Chen Chen Stwite. And that's how we make things better in the world as we move forward. So I put my hands up to you in gratitude and say, Chen Quinmin Tomi, I'm grateful to each and every one of you for coming together in Chomo and being one and sharing your different views, because it's all the different views and sharing them that allows solutions to be created that help things move forward in a good way. So I'm, you know, sharing these words to ask you to, even with your, what do they say? You agree to disagree and yet share your views and create solutions that you can all agree upon to continue helping the people that you all reach out to and serve and help, because then you're being Unchomo, being one with those that you help. And it's coming together with all the different things that you do that makes it even better for all the people to know that they can go to either service or get referred. And so I ask you to keep up that good work. Yet one halt top the excellent work that you do in each of your areas. and find the solutions of how to work together. I'm going to do Sequalia's song. It's a prayer song and it's a healing song. And it was called Greeting of the Day by my grandfather and the others of his generation. They fixed it for sharing with people like at meetings like this or gatherings. And I'm going to ask you all to do some chair yoga, breathing, and put your hands on your lap or that and just breathe in a few times. And focus yourselves so that we all become unchomo, we become one. And while I sing the song and the old people say you keep yourself open to each other's energy. And when you put your hands together or you go like this, you're closing yourself off. And that's why I made you do that breathing, just to be open to the energy. And while I sing the song, pray for each other and each other's families and all your friends. I'll sing the song, then I'll do a prayer and turn it back over to Bill. And then I'm going to be leaving you after my opening. And I really wish you well in the meeting that you have tonight. So I'm going to start now. Oh, Kakakanak chasiam. Yonsyon so tunoy up in manman, the squires deceits, Yonsyo manman sequadal chet, the squires deceits, Yonsyo manman squallowan chet. Asking you, Creator, to watch over and guide each and every one of your children gathered here on this call tonight in this circle, and to help them and their sequadal check, their family and CII and all of their friends with their squallowing, the feelings they have in their tzali and their hearts and minds, to help them with their mental, emotional, physical, spiritual well-being. Asking you, Kakachanik, Chasiam, the Creator, to help them in the work that they're going to do tonight, to be able to share their snachum, their words and listen to each other with winoxis, respect, and share those different words and take into their hearts what's meant for them. Set aside what they don't need right now for another time and be able to share to do the tzetzop, the work that they have to do for the present and future generations, helping people, chen chen swite, standing and working together to hold each other up, support one another, help each other, and take care of people. Asking you, Creator, to hear our prayers for all our families and friends with serious illnesses and any injuries that are waiting for surgery or if they've had them. We ask you, Creator, to help them with their health, healing, and recovery. Prayers, Creator, for all of our family and friends who may be, because of traumas, battling alcohol and drugs, and those incarcerated because of that battles and trauma, and for their families who don't want to lose them, and for families who have lost loved ones to that battle. We pray that those fighting that battle find the healing path to recovery and become survivors. Kakakanek Chasiam and all of the Tanoyapan and Sequedo Sayoyaquashet, all of our ancestors and family who have gone before us. We pray for everyone who may be grieving for lost loved ones and have AM squall and strong feelings of sorrow in their heart, to know that the pain doesn't ever really leave, but it changes so you remember your loved ones with smiles and memories of the you have in your heart and mind, and that they always are with us and watching over you. And they'll send you signs. Maybe it'll be a dragonfly, because I had read they have 2 sets of wings because they carry angels on their back. And I've recently heard that butterflies and ladybugs are angels coming to visit you, or you see something. You're in a low mood or worrying about something, and then all of a sudden you see one of those, or an eagle, a whale, a seal, something, and you start smiling, and it lifts your spirit. And then you go and tell other people about this happy thing, and they start smiling. That's a loved one, letting you know that they're still with you and lifting your spirit when you need it. So, Creator, asking again that tonight's meeting is yet one halt up. Tonight's meeting is excellent work and sharing, to come together and share all the views and create those meaningful solutions for all of us as human beings to continue surviving together. Tama kwetsi snachum hoichacha, hoichacha. Tama kwetsi snachum means those are my words, and I thank you all for allowing me to be with you for this short time. And I'll say, Wachayap yo, you all take care.
And well, thank you. That was a wonderful opening to this meeting. And I think we've all become very complacent on Google, or rather Zoom lately, sort of thing, and not taking time to honor our meetings and honor each other. And thank you for honoring us tonight with your time. And with that, how can we help but not have a good meeting? So thank you very much.
Hey,
Thank you,
keep your focus now that you've prayed together.
Thank you.
You'll create good things.
Yeah.
Tama kwetsi.
Good night.
See you all.
Thank you. Well, I think we had a motion to adjourn is in order. We've had a great meeting. I want to thank you again. We have an agenda. We're going to try to move through. On the agenda tonight, I'm going to be doing a little bit of talking simply because I have the microphone open, and Lindsay's going to keep it open for me. We're going to have an opportunity to hear from our council later on in the meeting. Our CAO is going to say a few words. In addition, I'm going to an opportunity to hear from each one of you, and there will be kind of a general round of questions at the end. And we have kind of set this meeting for about an hour and a half. we're all probably sitting in our own homes, and we can get up from here and go to bed. So that it may simply be that we can run longer if necessary. So the first thing I would like to do, though, is do a round of introductions around the table here, and I'm going to do it. I have a list of organizations that were invited, and I think the best way for me to do that is go through that list and let you introduce yourselves and let us know who you are and that you're here. So, and if there's anybody who's not on the list, we'll catch you on the end, okay? So Harmony Hall Seniors Association. Was anybody here from Harmony Hall? Do you know how to unmute your mics if you're here? Okay, Gibsons Chamber of Commerce.
That's me, Bill. Chris Nichols. I'm the Executive Director for the Gibsons District Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anybody with you?
I see Doug Martinson, one of our directors. He's on the call tonight too.
Good. Right. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Doug. Welcome. RCMP.
Good evening. I'm Staff Sergeant Poppy Hallam, and I'm here with Corporal Phil Atui, and we're coming to you from inside the Gibsons Community Policing Office tonight. So excellent. We're here together. So yeah, looking forward to conversation.
Good, thank you. Welcome. Squamish Nation. Now, Ann was here, and Chris Lewis, Councillor Chris Lewis, was going to attend, and the last minute this afternoon he backed out for an urgent family matter. So he sends his regards and wishes he could be here, and that was his plan, but he's unable to attend. Gibsons Public Library.
Hi everybody, lovely to see you. This is Heather. I'm the library director at the Gibsons and District Public Library, and our board chair is here with me tonight, Janet Hodgkinson.
Hello.
Hi, welcome both of you. Gibsons Heritage Museum Society.
Hi everybody, my name is Matthew Lovegrove, and I'm from the Sunshine Coast Museum and Archives. And it's great to be here to see all of your faces, even digitally.
Thank you. Anyone with you, Matthew?
I believe that I'm the only one from the organization tonight.
Okay, well, thank you and welcome. School District 46.
Hello, I'm Pamela Ruth. I'm the chair of the board. And I have with me Patrick Blocking, our superintendent.
Good. Welcome both of you. Thank you for coming. Doctors Division of Family Practice. Okay. Coast Community Builders Association. Okay. Affordable Housing Society and Workforce Housing Society. You both here or one here?
Affordable Housing Society is here. I'm Chris. I'm on the board of directors. I believe Jeff Cripwell and Mary Finlay are here as well, representing our organization.
Excellent. Thank you and welcome. Gibsons Landing Harbor Authority.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joseph Wright. I'm the president of the Gibsons Landing Harbor Authority. And with me on the call, probably doing double duty, is Carol Doyle, which I'm a member of our board.
Welcome, both of you. Thank you for coming. Sunshine Coast Conservation Association.
Yeah, Bill, Leanne Johnson, I'm here, and Suzanne Singer, one of our other directors, is here.
Good. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Rain City Housing. Rain City. Okay.
Bill,
sorry,
Isaac,
there you are. I thought you were there.
Isaac was speaking on the other page, but I don't think it was working, so we weren't hearing him. So we've got Isaac Malmgren, Associate Director for Rain City, on the page I can see, and Nick Gaskin here, Program Manager for Rain City on the Sunshine Coast.
Thank you and welcome. Salvation Army.
Hi, yeah, it's Daryl Pilgrim. I'm the Minister Director here on the Sunshine Coast, and happy to be here tonight and meeting everybody.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you and welcome. Gibsons Rotary Club.
Hi, it's Chris Wolf here, and I see there are several other Rotarians on the call, and they are, most of them anyway, representing other organisations at the same time. So I can see Carol Doyle, I see Doug Martinson, I see Greg Sewan, and I think there was one more. Speak up, whoever. I've missed somebody, I think.
Daryl.
I've mentioned Carol.
It was me, Chris. I was just on.
Sorry, Daryl.
Oh, yeah. I'm easily forgettable. Easily forgettable. It's okay.
Not at all. Not at all. So there are about 4 or 5 of us here, but in double roles.
Good. Welcome. Thank you. BCGEU, Towns Union. Okay, House Sound Pulp and Paper.
Hello, this is Alan Scout, General Manager of
Alan, your microphone's not working too well.
Okay. I'll work on that.
Okay, thank you and welcome. Thank you. Area F Director, are you here? Mark? Area E, Donna, are you here?
Sure, I'm here. I'm
Good.
here representing the fringe areas in Elphinstone.
Thank you very much and welcome. Sunshine Coast Regional Economic Development Organization, Scredo.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Colin Stansfield. I'm the Executive Director of Scredo, flying solo this evening.
You look an awful lot like Nick Gaskin, to figure that out. Yeah.
Nicest thing I've heard all day.
Okay, thank you, and welcome. Sunshine Coast Tourism.
Hi there, Paul Kamen, Executive Director of Sunshine Coast Tourism. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for coming. Gibsons Public Market.
Hi, Bill. It's Pam Robertson here, Chair of the Board of the Gibsons Community Building Society. And Vicki Raw is with us too, our Executive Director, and we're happy to be here.
Vicki, thank you, and thank you, Pam. Thank you for coming. And Gibsons and Area Volunteer Fire Department.
Rob Michael here, Fire Chief, Gibsons Fire Department, coming live from the fire hall on a practice evening, so it might get a little busy around here. Oh. And I've got retired firefighter Greg Sewan here as well.
Oh, good. Welcome, both of you. And Transportation Choices.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alan Williams. I'm the current chair of Transportation Choices, and I'm here with fellow board member Nick Smith.
Yeah, and here I am. I'm Nick.
Okay, hi Nick. Yeah. Now, have I missed anybody? Is there anybody here whose organization did not get called out?
I'm here, Bill. Thank you for including me, Mickey McCartney, Regional Director for Capilano University, the my campus.
Mickey, I recall we had that conversation.
It's a long time ago, Bill. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you'll see some sort of a theme in terms of how we're all here. We're all associated with the community in one way or the other, and in largely supporting each other. And it's important that we've never gotten together like this, to my knowledge. And the interesting thing is that in 2 days' time, there's going to be an economic development forum as well, an economic forum on the coast. And Colin has organized that. And so it's another opportunity to visit the coast and visit what's happening in a different way. But I just wanted to focus on Gibsons and programs developed or services that are offered through organizations in Gibsons tonight. Not everybody's here, and we'll fill those gaps in later. We're going to, I'd like to make this, as I say, an annual visit. It was intended to be kind of an early in the year meeting where we can talk about our plans and our challenges for the year. And then, as you know, I apologize. Let me apologize before I say another word. We also have Lucy McKieran and Kim Tornat. Lucy is representing our Member of Parliament, Patrick Weiler. Lucy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and I think Patrick will be joining a little bit later.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you
for inviting me.
Thank you. And Kim Tornat, are you there?
Hi there, yes, I'm here, and thank you for inviting me as well. And I'm not sure if Nicholas is here, but I haven't had a chance to check yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just for the information of everybody, the Coast Reporter, and I believe the Sunshine Coast Local is also with us tonight, so that they are there. And there are probably others. This is being live streamed onto YouTube on our own website, so other people may be watching this as well.
Actually, excuse me. I'm sorry to break in, Mr. Mayor. We're having some technical difficulties with the live stream, but the meeting will be recorded and posted to YouTube for anybody to.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. And Lindsay will creep in every time I make a mistake. So we may hear her quite a bit tonight. We'll see. So that, as I say, the purpose of this meeting has changed since it was first planned to be scheduled in March. And it was all pre-pandemic. Like the rest of you, our year started quite normally right after Christmas. And that's when, as a local government, we begin the budget process. Very focused in January and February in preparing the 2020 budget for the town. By the end of February, we had agreed to a sewer water increases of 5%, the business tax rate of 2.75% times residential, and to establish a reserve fund for policing costs and increased residential tax by around 5%. That was our plan, and it looked good on paper. But then COVID-19 and the emergency declaration by the province on March 17th. This changed everything for us, as it I sure did for yourselves as well. And along with COVID-19, we are currently in this community dealing with an opiate overdose crisis, issues of discrimination, challenges as to how we can restart our local economy as we prepare for the summer, and what is promising to be a very busy tourist season. As a community, once faced with a provincial order, our council reviewed the budget and after further discussions reduced the overall tax rate to 2.2%, cut out the policing reserve, and confirmed several projects that had been pre-funded. Projects like the Zone 3 water project that was a grant project, the bike lane on Gibsons Way and North Fletcher, completion of the Prowse Road lift station, and other projects. And other projects, though, our staff recommended, and council accepted the recommended, that we go as a pay-as-you-go approach to our projects this year. So rather than anticipate revenues, we're proceeding with most capital projects, not proceeding with most capital projects until we actually have money in the bank. That way, we hope to avoid increasing the debt or borrowing from reserves. And in 2021, we may actually have surpluses to work off and help us manage the taxation next year as well. Together, we're all working for the betterment of our community. Whether it's for seniors or for youth, for business or for families, we share a common concern for the social, economic, and environmental well-being of our community, and we do not do this in isolation. The town in some way works with each one of you, and decisions that we make as a council impact each organization represented here, whether it's by partnering with you, as we have done with the Rotary Club for the Students on Council project and the recently completed Armours Beach project, or by providing grants, as we've done with Harmony Hall to upgrade the kitchen, or providing land and grants for affordable housing projects, and by working regionally with the Sunshine Coast Economic Development Organization and the Sunshine Coast Tourism, two organizations that are very busy working behind the scenes to support the economy of our businesses and our community. In 2019, Howe Sound Pulp and Paper provided a grant to the public market for the very successful series of night markets held in July and August. And today, given the needs of our community, Howe Sound Pulp and Paper is focusing on supporting local businesses by purchasing gift cards that are given to employees who in turn use them in those same local businesses. I understand that other organizations like the Sunshine Coast Credit Union have similar gift card programs. The Gibsons Rotary Club made a significant donation to the food bank, donation to Armours Beach, partnering for the town for a Student on Council program. And Gibson seniors in the Harmony Hall program used the money provided by council to upgrade their kitchen and providing dinners for seniors and others during this pandemic period. Everybody working together to help the community at this time. There's so much I could say tonight about how this community has come together in recent weeks. We support each other and our community, and at some level, our stories are the same, even though we are working with a different focus. That is why we're here at this meeting that recognizes that we are not working or volunteering in silos, but we are dependent in some small way on each other for our successes. I could go on connecting the dots, or in this case, the screens, but I think all of you understand my meaning and why it is so important that we meet together and that we share our challenges and plans so that we all have a better understanding of how our community works. With the COVID-19, the town response has changed the way we do business. We have more Zoom meetings, more staff meetings by Zoom. We have staff teams. Staff are working from home. We have online training only going on. No travel is happening. Single workers and vehicles only. We closed our front counter for a period of time and ICBC for a period of time. We closed our parks and playgrounds. However, through all of this, we managed to maintain service levels and to be responsive to the needs of the community. Our planning staff and building inspectors are continuing to process applications at a similar rate as they did in 2019. We are slowly opening the town hall and increasing our in-person services. However, we're still into the pandemic emergency and are uncertain about our near future insofar as in-person services are concerned. Staff and public safety is paramount. In April, we also introduced a Business Watch program organized by our corporate officer and coordinated by Ed Hill, supported by 25 volunteers in the community. This group, since the beginning of the project, has contributed more than 350 hours of volunteer time and driven in excess of 1,300 kilometers patrolling the commercial areas on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings. This program is being recognized by our insurance agent and implemented in other communities, including the District of Sechelt, Pender Harbor, and Comox that we know of. We've also worked closely with the SCRD and the District of Sechelt throughout this period. And on Friday evenings, we have a scheduled Zoom meeting with Nicholas Simons and Patrick Weiler. Sometimes it seems that Zoom meetings are too easy to schedule, and they're becoming a normal way for us to get up business, cutting down on time spent away from the office and our travel costs. In April, I had the opportunity to visit every business in town to see who is open and how they're doing. It was really uplifting to learn about the innovations that businesses have made to keep open and support the community. It was also good to learn about how commercial landlords are helping the businesses through this period. It is timely that the Sunshine Coast Business Forum is going to be held this week, and I look forward to listening to the conversations on Thursday morning, dealing with the challenges and the restart initiatives of businesses across the coast. During this period, we've also had to deal with issues of Black Lives Matter and discrimination, which is also present in our community. Our Students on Council, a great success program. Our senior student, Aylis McKenzie, has graduated now, and we recognized her at our last council meeting. And Gravity Grenard is going to go on into 2020 and 21 school year as our senior youth counselor, and we'll be advertising for another one in the fall. Our major projects are still ongoing, but they're going at a much slower pace, as well as the major construction projects in the community. You probably haven't seen a lot of activity in terms of major building right now. One area that I wanted to highlight with you this spring is the 2019 and 2022 strategic plan. Now, a copy of this plan was previously provided to you, and a summary is included with our meeting package. And if I could ask Lindsay, are you able to share this, Lindsay? The summary?
Yes, I am, Mr. Mayor. One moment.
Just going to share with you on the screen the summary of our plan. So this is what our council in a series of meetings that we held last fall and this spring determined to be our priorities, our core objectives for this current year. And just put it up on the screen. So one of the areas we wanted to work in was community engagement. We wanted to have increased community engagement. One of the reasons for this meeting is to do that. We held a couple of dialogues last year, and the intent was to hold more again this year. I don't know when we'll be able to do that. Maybe we'll be able to do some dialogues also on Zoom in the near future. But we will aspire to encourage citizens of all ages to engage in decision-making, actively listen to the ideas of our stakeholders, and help our citizens understand the challenges and competing demands facing the community. This is never an easy thing. It's always a challenge to do community engagement well. We have some projects coming up that we are really hoping that we're going to kind of engage the community in a different way. And I hope you'll be hearing about those shortly. Another area that is important to our council is we manage our assets, focusing on fiscal sustainability and support our staff in the prudent management of our natural and engineered assets to ensure the town can continue to deliver our critical infrastructure and services in perpetuity. One reason why we do have the ability under this COVID emergency to borrow against our reserves and borrow against our future. But our staff recommended to council that we try to do is the pay-as-you-go process. So some of the capital projects that we had envisioned for this year are simply set to the side right now, and they are going to be reviewed on a quarterly basis. So each quarter, council will be asked to review again and approve some projects based upon our revenues. We did very well in terms of our water and sewer payments this year. They went out in the usual time frame, and the receipts were very good in that area. Our taxes, about 12% of our taxes are done by provincial deferment. So that means that they are paid. When the people defer their taxes, the province pays the municipality, and the debt is to the province, not to the municipality. And we also have a good number of people who pay taxes on a monthly basis. So those taxes are paid up. Council decided to reduce the penalty that is normally due on July the 2nd. It's normally a 10% penalty, but it's been made at 5% penalty this year on July the 2nd and 10% as of the end of October. It increases to 10%. And that's to give people an opportunity to, if they can't afford to pay their taxes right away, there's still a penalty, but there is certainly still an incentive to try to pay it right away. And the same for business taxes. I believe that the penalty is imposed there at the end of October for business taxes. Now we're trying to work with the community on that area, and we're trying not to put ourselves in debt so that we don't encumber ourselves going into the future. Planning for sustainable growth is another one of our objectives. We plan for the future in a manner that reflects our finite resources, value the unique character of the town and its neighborhoods, create spaces that promote a sense of community and are accessible to all, preserving our green spaces and supporting local business and fostering a diverse economy. I'm hoping that we're going to hear shortly about things such as tree protection bylaws, additional kind of park designations. I know that staff are looking very closely at the White Tower Park and the Charmin lands and the protected lands that we're looking for in the Gospel Rock area. All these are areas that they're working with Sunshine Coast Conservation Association on. So all these things are things that will be positive for our community in the long term. We're advocating for and facilitating a range of housing types. As you know, we have the Shaw Road affordable housing. We have Franklin Road affordable housing, and we're looking at other opportunities in the community for affordable housing. Affordable housing includes rental housing. So the units up on Venture Way, the commercial rental units up there, there's approximately 50 rental units going in a commercial way, Venture Way rather, over the commercial up there. And then in the Gospel Rock project itself, there's approximately 36 rental units going in there. So those will be available for people to rent and not have to buy into the economy, but to be able to rent houses. So we're still working on that area. We just recently, as you know, approved the trailer park, a manufacturer, I guess, trailer park up on North Road, enabling 7 people to continue to live in that location. I think it's important that we try to take every opportunity we can to provide look at new housing types and provide opportunities for people in our community. Responding also to recognizing the climate change. The economy and the climate are two very critical things that we have to be concerned about as a community. And applying a climate lens to the planning and development actions and policies. adapting town infrastructure to increase resiliency to the local impacts and risks from climate change. We'll reduce the greenhouse gas emissions produced by the community through the provision of municipal services to meet regional targets. A lot of things happening here. The STEP code, we're looking at implementing the STEP code in construction. We're looking at putting another holding pond up into the White Tower Park area to manage the stormwater in the community, and doing different things that we can to manage our natural resources in the harbor are very important to the community. And finally, another area is to advocate and collaborate on regional issues. And in this one here, we identify it to be collaborate and partner with our neighboring jurisdictions to effectively address shared opportunities and challenges. We've been doing a lot in that area. A lot of that goes under the radar. And I'll just ask our CIO, Manny Machado, if he would reflect on our regional participation at this time. Manny, you available?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly in the years that we've been attempting to work together, the last couple have been, in our view, some of the most successful, and I want to highlight just a couple of projects. The model essentially, one community takes the lead and the others agree to support that project by providing staff time and or council or board time as well where necessary. The first one that worked out relatively well was a daycare strategy for the Sunshine Coast, and that was led by the District of Sechelt. Not surprisingly, it was completed last year, but the not surprising part was that we could certainly use a lot more daycare spaces on the Sunshine Coast, including more trained early childhood educators. The housing needs assessment, maybe we'll talk about housing needs. One of the bigger questions for the Sunshine Coast is overall, what are the combined needs for the coast so we can better plan at a regional level. That one is led by the town of Gibsons, and it's expected to be completed later this fall. The regional water governance that the town put together a couple of years ago has received quite good support regionally, and we're hoping to, that includes, it's a proposal that there's a governance board or a regional function for that matter. It's still to be determined with a technical advisory team, and that includes citizen science and indigenous knowledge, and so that we can co-manage our most important watersheds, particularly for securing our water needs. And the community wildfire protection plan, we're in the process of doing that, and that's being led by the regional district, and that's to develop a regional plan for the Sunshine Coast for wildfire protection. So good examples, and it's certainly a good model that's been working relatively well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Manny. So those are some of the areas we're working in and trying to work in. As I say, that COVID has thrown a bit of a wrench in our plans and our momentum, but we have managed to continue our town meetings, council meetings, and focusing on doing things well and doing things right as we go through the process. I want to speak just briefly to policing costs, which I alluded to previously. And policing costs, as many of you may know, when a municipality reaches a population of 5,000, they become responsible for their own policing. Now, the town did start this process several years ago, and they did this by providing the land and the building that is now the police operation up on Sunnycrest Road, the police station up on Sunnycrest Road. Without that would have had to be a new cost once we reach the 5,000 policing. So that has been built around, is it 2011 or so, Leanne? Do you recall? Yeah, around 2011. And the federal government immediately rented that back from us, and has been paying down the mortgage cost on that property. However, when we reach that magic number of 5,000, which I anticipate we will do in 2022, because our projections right now is that we are somewhere between 4,900 and 4,950 in population. And but what that means is that we are going to be responsible for all our policing costs. We did a study, Lindsay Grist, working with Ed Hill and a committee, did a study in 2019, reported to council. The estimated cost, annual cost to us going forward, is going to be between $700,000 and $1 million annually. and that cost has got to be borne by taxpayers. And that represents approximately a 30% increase in residential taxation costs. That's why we had thought that this year would be a good time to start putting some money away as transition costs to maybe reduce that overall bill a little bit and help us kind of ease our way into it. But it doesn't appear that we're going to get a break in that area, so that overall that cost will be, as I say, depending upon the model, and the costs there are simply based on numbers. We have to provide the RCMP members as well as cost for their equipment, as well as staff, pay the staffing at the police station. So all of those costs become municipal costs at that time, and it's fairly immediately. There's no kind of break-in period on that once we get that population. So we're going to work to find that. I have thought to myself, everybody else is getting a COVID break. Maybe we can ask for a COVID break on the timing of breaking that in. So we'll see. So as I say, we had hoped to set some money aside. So I think by way of introduction and background, that's what I wanted to say to you tonight. I would like to invite councillors. I believe Councillor Kroll, and I saw Councillor D'Andrade on the call. I don't know if anybody else is here, but I would invite them to take a moment and just say a few words. Councillor D'Andrade, do you want to say anything? I saw her there. Okay. Councillor Kroll, are you still with us?
I appreciate
there you are. Okay.
To hear from the community, right? I heard already your speech because I already read it. So now I'm very anxious to hear from everybody else.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Kroll?
I'd just like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone and look forward to hearing people's comments with respect to, concerns they have, dealing with the COVID situation, rebuilding the local economy. I've had some interesting conversations with Scredo and some of the people that are going to be participating in the meeting later this week on getting the economy back up and running. I'd also you referenced the Solidarity March. I'd just like to take this opportunity once again to thank Staff Sergeant Hallam and her crew, who were absolutely amazing in coordinating a very large, potentially unruly group. Well, I shouldn't say potentially unruly. It was a great group, and the RCMP facilitated just a smooth march, and it was just a great pleasure to be part of the event and commend the RCMP. They get a lot of flack for the least little thing, and I think they showed the community that they're here to work with us, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Are there any other councillors online?
Hi, Mayor Beamish. I'm here
Oh,
as well.
there you are. Okay. Hi.
I just wanted to welcome everyone this evening. It's really great to see such a big turnout. It's really impressive. It really speaks to how committed our community is. But I don't have anything more to add to Mayor Beamish's introduction. I think he's done a great job. So I am really looking forward to hearing from all of you. So thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Rather than kind of wait for any questions at the end, does anybody have any questions right now that they'd like to direct towards myself or the town? We have, as I say, the administrator here, a corporate officer, and 4 members of council. So we could take a moment to just raise your hands, and our corporate officer will acknowledge you. Okay. Anybody?
Councillor Kroll has raised his hand.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to acknowledge that our MP, Patrick Weiler, has joined us.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Patrick, thank you. Patrick, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I just want to say thank you for the introduction and for putting this event on tonight. And I'm sorry I was a few minutes late joining the call, but yeah, no, I think this is really great to have this as an annual event to really be able to solicit feedback from folks in the community, get some input on the plans that you have, and yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, and I've appreciated the opportunity to chat with you each and every week, and looking forward to hearing what everybody on the call has to think about some of the plans that you've circulated.
Yeah, and thank you, Patrick. And yeah, I'd like to acknowledge that those who haven't had that direct contact, Patrick is almost on every Zoom call that I'm on, it seems, and along with Kim and Nicholas Simons, they're doing hero work in kind of keeping in contact with the community and taking messages back and forth, and I really appreciate that. And very accessible and approachable. Okay, so any other hands up, Lindsay?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Lindsay, part of our next item on our agenda was actually a COVID-19 update. Is there anything you'd like to say, Lindsay, being our COVID coordinator and for the community? And just, is there anything you'd like to give us a heads up on?
No, and I just want to clarify, I've been doing my bit for town hall, but definitely a lot of people have been pitching in terms of the response for COVID-19. If anyone has any questions about the services the town is offering right now, we're not working completely regularly at the moment. We have a lot of staff who are working from home. We have managed to open up our town hall service counter on May 20th. It opened, so it's been open for a little while now. Both ICBC driver services and the town hall admin side. And we've been doing fairly well in these strange times. Lots of plexiglass and masks and barriers and signs. But overall, I think the community has done very well in response. And so unless anyone has any questions, I think that's all I have.
I have a quick question. Pamela Ruth, SD46.
Yep.
So just in that, with the driver services being open, I'm just wondering, as of course, this is the time of year when most of our students turning 16 are getting their learner's license and or swapping over to their news. Are the driver's tests being going through?
We're getting our marching orders from ICBC head office. I don't believe they have started doing the driver's testing yet, but they are doing the knowledge testing in the office. We're taking 2 appointments per day so that we can manage those appointments and to make sure they're set up in the appropriate area of the office. And we've been running those since the beginning of June. I believe we started the knowledge tests back up.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. We have not missed any council meetings or committee meetings, and they're all being done by Zoom. We do have the opportunity, if you wanted to sit in council chambers, for up to 5 people to be in council chambers doing those meetings. But they're all being done on Zoom, and the public have been present and participating, so that I welcome anybody to participate in our meetings. So we have delegations. It's all the same agenda process. It's just that we are operating all remotely from our home offices or bedrooms in this case. Okay. So, I'm going to then now go around the table, and I think I'll just go in the same way that we did, unless anybody has a need to rush off and wants to go first. So you're going to have to put your hand up, and Lindsay will have to recognize you, and you got 10 seconds to do that. Okay, seeing none there. I'm going to go down the list again, and really, I'd like you to take up to 5 minutes, if that would be 6 minutes or so, or 7 minutes. If you have nothing you want to say, you're certainly welcome to pass. And what we are interested in is what your organization is doing, what your challenges are, what your plans are, how we can work together. If you have things that you need from the town, how the town can help you. So please don't hesitate to let us know that, and we will take notes. And as I say, this is being taped for us. So the first one I have, Harmony Hall seniors, nobody came on board late in the game. Okay, seeing none, I'll go then to the Chamber of Commerce. Chris. Chris, you still with us?
You think I know how this works by now.
Oh, there you are, yeah.
As I was saying, like every other organization, we've had to reinvent ourselves in terms of how we connect and how we reach out to our constituencies, who are, of course, the business community. As everybody knows, a key fundamental of a chamber is by bringing businesses together and the networking and working together and getting things done. Well, that can't happen. It hasn't happened. So thinking of how we do it. So our focus has been really staying on top of the timeliness of communication. And everybody's seen, it's been coming at us from all sides, from all levels of government, which is great, even at times that it's, I don't want to say it's too much, but it's a lot. So therefore, that's just, it overwhelms the business community, and everybody has been part of different meetings where they've had different questions or don't understand maybe some of the thinking from higher up. So we focused on, I would say, a middle ground of talking directly to the business owner and what they need, or how can we support them in addressing their day-to-day issues. We direct them to where I guess the information and the programs are coming from, again, from all levels of government, from Patrick's group, from Nicola's group, and even from the town and Tourism BC, I know, working with Paul's group. So we try to keep them informed on one hand, but they're getting that from everywhere. So we try to zero in on, as a business, tell us what they're doing, how they're doing it, so we can communicate that back to the community. And I think we've received some good support from the community because every business, they've opened up through stages. And then, a few weeks later, they've had to make adjustments. So we're there to help communicate what those adjustments are. And as everybody has seen, there's businesses that jumped right on it, that taking phone orders and, how they fulfilled what they've been doing. And it's all at varying levels. Going forward, we're already, we're looking actually 3 months down the road as businesses get through this summer period, which is a real core focus, as everybody knows, in the Sunshine Coast, of how can we get them in a position to sustain their business. Everybody's heard that word, sustainability. And we've seen there's some businesses with the new costs involved, they weren't able to survive. They decided to stop. Maybe they're looking to reopen in some other way. So our focus has been on, you might say, down the street businesses, and leave, I guess, the high level programs to, again, Patrick's group and Nicola's group and the Collins group and the Paul's group, because all the things they do influence what goes on here on the coast. And then the local business, they got to take it and make it work, and and how they make it work. So that's what our, I call it our short-term focus, but that's really, the next 3-4 months at least. And as any nonprofit, our biggest challenge is revenue, just like any business. Where do we get it? We're a member-supported organization. Very difficult to go back to members and ask them to contribute and support to us. So, that's an ongoing balance and challenge. And I've been fortunate that I've been able to push it back to my board and have them to come up with all the ideas and how to do it. So that's what we've been doing. If Doug, he wants to say any comments from the board standpoint, certainly welcome that. But, we're, I have a philosophy in doing things, and it's to try, fail, try. So, nothing's off the table. So, whatever we got to do, we got to do.
Thanks, Chris.
That was only 4 minutes. That's all I got.
And you won't forget that council did allocate $5,000 to the chamber for transition costs. So hopefully.
Yes, and again, that's on the table. We're addressing it. You know, I've had conversations with Manny. We've got a couple ideas. So now it's, you know, now starting to put that stuff together.
Good. Thank you very much. Doug, did you want to say anything from the board?
Whoops. Okay. How can I build on what Chris presented so thoroughly? Thanks, Chris. No,
Yeah.
it's Chris really covered a variety there. That, like I think we're going to hear from everybody. It's a challenging time.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks,
Appreciate it. Okay. I go on the RCMP. Poppy, are you still with us?
You betcha. Thank
Right.
you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to start by saying I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this. I know Phil and I both, it's really important to be able to have opportunity to engage not only our community leaders, but for the public to get to know us and hear what we have to say, but for us to get that feedback, because we don't always have a chance to do that. And I really appreciate the opportunity. I think, like, you know, for us right now, same with you, COVID has been quite the process for us. Everything changed, lots of information coming at us, and the way we did business, we still have to do a job. We still have to provide our service to the communities. We just had to find a way to do that safely for the safety of our officers and our employees, as well as the safety of the people that we are interacting with. And so we had to change things a little bit, but unfortunately our calls for service didn't decrease like other agencies and like other people saw. We continued, unfortunately we continued with our calls really increasing in a lot of ways. But I think, you know, we did okay. We're getting through it. And I just wanted people to know that our front counters have now opened. So we're back open, both our community policing office here in Gibsons and the Seashell detachment front counters are open. We have everything in place for people, sanitizers, masks when you come in. If you need to get fingerprinted for criminal record checks, for employment, that sort of thing, we're back to offering all of those services, and we've just put a plan in place with signage and everything so the public knows. We'll have minimal people unless there's a safety concern where someone needs to come in because there's an emergency. We want to limit the amount of people that are in the waiting room just for people's safety. But otherwise, we're open for business again for the public to come in and see us. The second thing I wanted to mention again is just to thank your community for Gibson's Business Watch, because it was really, I don't know, I have to say that working with your town, you guys are cutting edge and you really think outside the box and you're really progressive in your thinking around so many issues, and right, and just the fact that we were able to come together and that you had so many people step up, including David Kroll and yourself and your wife, and coming out and doing these patrols and looking after the community and working together with us. This is an opportunity to publicly say thank you, and thank you for you know, helping your community and helping us do that. Because the police are the public and the public are the police, and we can't do it without you. And it really shows that. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then I wanted just to say thank you again to David Kroll for bringing up the protest on June 7th, because, you know, I think it's really important that we provide a safe space for our community members to be able to express themselves. It's you have the right to lawful assembly and the right to have your voice heard. And yeah, some of that is aimed at some things that have happened that police have been involved with, and the funding and the different things. And I think it's important that we are respectful around and having those dialogues. And we had some of those conversations, and people came up to us during the march, and it was, you know, I think it, yeah, I mean, we had potential to feel hurtful maybe in a lot of ways, but I just think that's not what we got out of it. I think it really showed that we were on the same page, and that your police here on the Sunshine Coast is committed to making change and working with the community to do the right thing every day. And I say to my people that we're going to make mistakes, and we will own them, and we want to be better, and we want to make change and be part of those conversations. And yeah, I think, you know, that was one of those things. We had our National Indigenous Peoples Day car parade on Sunday. I was part of that, and we went through Shishal Nation, and it was wonderful, and the engagement, and just being with the community. And that's part of the organizational excellence and engagement in our communities. That's part of our pillars of our strategic planning, is that visibility and that engagement piece. And you know, that's important to me as a detachment commander. It's important to us as employees. So I think, you know, just having this forum here is gives us the ability to just sort of say we're looking at all of the things that we can do for the community, and what does the community need from us, and finding that balance, because we're always going to have those calls for service. They don't go away. People need help. They call 911. We need to respond. And I think it's just finding that balance of the community policing and visibility with the response. And we're looking at trying a few different things, looking at trying to get a mental health car and a mental health outreach employee working with our mental health. Like, we want to try some things, do some things differently, and try to move our resources around. And that's part of my organizational excellence and accountability, is putting resources where the community needs them and being effective, you know? So, yeah, I mean, it's just with COVID too, like the technology, like we've had to change how we dealt with things in the courts, and how people appeared for court, or how they were held in custody or not, and changes to our disclosure, how we disclosed evidence up to Crown Counsel. Just so many changes. And I think, you know, it's been a lot of information overload and a little bit of COVID fatigue around trying to keep everything straight. But I think, you know, we've done pretty well.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
It's just different ways. It's a learning experience for us as well. So. Mm-hmm.
So, and just I'll quickly touch, you know, some of our strategies for the 2020-2021 year, crime reduction. We're focusing a little bit more on reducing violent crime and tackling some of the drug and gang stuff, because we do have some issues with some organized crime, some stuff that's happening on the Sunshine Coast. And we've had we just see some heroin with believed to have fentanyl in it. We're just looking at some of those higher level crime reduction strategies, and utilizing our general investigations team that we've got fully running now, finally staffed up to really start working on some of the more serious prolific crimes. And then also managing and trying to reduce domestic violence and supporting third-party reporting, so safe reporting through our victim services and through our community-based victim services. And we're very successful through Constable Karen Whitby, worked with the hospital to have nurses trained and now doing sexual assault kits here on the Sunshine Coast, like really being engaged and working for what our community needs, and safety around the vulnerable, our most vulnerable, and our homeless, and our opioids. We've been in lots of meetings and with Vancouver Coastal Health, and on ways to support and support people in our most vulnerable. and then also you looking after the community in those areas and what they need. So, and I think sort of lastly, like road safety is always there, Highway 101 and road safety, and the town of Gibsons, we've had lots of things with school buses in the past. I'm not sure what the fall is going to look like for the schools, but we want to continue to reduce number of impaired drivers, distracted drivers, yeah, road safety, big one. And I'd say, the cultural awareness, having participation as soon as COVID starts to change in our Kairos blanket exercises and more sort of Indigenous learning and reconciliation, say reconciliation events, those sorts of things. And of course, continued engagement with you as a council, especially for policing and what that looks like as we get toward 2022, and ensuring that we're delivering what you need.
Thank you, Poppy. Do you have any spare time?
No, she never. We don't believe in it.
Thank you for all that you do, and it's such a critical job. How many members do you have right now on the coast?
So we're fully staffed at 35. We have some people transferring in and transferring out again. That's just per normal, but yes, we're 35 regular members and 10 support staff, plus auxiliaries and guards, and we have 1 reserve constables.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm going to just carry right on to Heather at the Gibsons Public Library.
Thanks, Mayor Beamish, and thank you for pulling all these people together. It's really lovely. I know I've segued with a lot of the people on the call tonight, day to day, but it's really, I think, a great strategy. So thank you for being so collaborative. Just quickly, the library, like all of us, had to respond very quickly to the pandemic when we had to close our doors physically. So we just focused on our online resources and quickly ramped up everything we can offer people online. And I have to do a plug for Canopy, which is a great streaming database we have right now, if you haven't checked it out. So it gave us an opportunity to look at our digital presence, and we did start a takeout service on May 19th, so people have been able to access library materials that way. And we will be opening our doors on Monday, July 6th, so that's very exciting. It's quite a plexiglass palace in there. We're ready, and we'll have a limited capacity. We'll have just a certain number of people that are allowed in the facility. So, I'm really just proud of our staff. We responded in a really quick way, which was great. But looking forward, obviously our big concern is just with our population growth and the needs of people. That's our concern as a library moving into the future, is just our capacity. We're maxed for space, and certainly now with the restrictions of COVID, we're really concerned about those vulnerable people that often spend the day in the library. And we're concerned for business people that operate their small businesses from the library. So those are things we're trying to create solutions for, definitely. For Nick Gaskin and others on the call, they're dealing with people who may have unstable housing. You should know that our washrooms will be open when we open up the library. So I just wanted to make a mention. Thank you for sharing the strategic plan, Mayor Beamish, and I do think we have a lot of alignment. We certainly work hard to inspire community engagement and having people participate in their local politics and the issues surrounding them. Things like climate change, we've been really focused on supporting the community in sort of tangible ways, our seed library and workshops and resources. And just the whole agenda of lifelong learning at the library, I just see as becoming even more of a purpose for us. We have a lot of people who are doing online learning now more than ever, and they need those resources and that support. And people need connectivity in our community, particularly now that we're all dependent on digitization. It's all the more important that the library can provide that. So I would say those are our big challenges moving forward, is just being able to continue to meet those needs. But I also think we're just very special library. I have to just give a shout out to the town of Gibsons. I mean, our library is very unique to the character of our town. No one has a view like our library, and it's pretty special. I mean, my most, and I'll stop because if I start, I'll keep going on. But what I'm most passionate about is that we call the library the great equalizer, because everyone has the same rights and the same access. And it's all about equality when you walk through those doors. And so we hold that very near and dear. And it is wonderful that everyone can enjoy such a stunning facility. And it doesn't matter what their economic background is or anything else. So it's a huge credit to the town that you've supported the library thus far. And who knows, I know Matthew from the museum and I have these fun ideals of, our little cultural corner, as we call it, and maybe expanding one day. So there's all kinds of potential for that. But the library just continues to try and support the lifelong learning of the community. And certainly we've worked in close collaboration with most of the people on this call at one time or another around the vulnerable members of our town as well. So thank you. I hope we can continue to meet like this. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. And I too, I want to acknowledge you and the work your staff do. You guys have been trained in dealing with vulnerable people in the community, and I know that's a safe place for people to go. And without it, I don't know what we would do with a lot of the people, especially in the difficult times of the year and then challenging times. And I really appreciate the support that you give to everybody who comes through your doors. So thank you for that. Go down to Matthew Lovegrave. Matthew, you're still with us. Thank you.
Hey, Bill. Hi, everybody. I think I'd like to just start by echoing Heather's comments. Thanks for organizing this great digital forum. I kind of wish we were in person. It would be nice to see your faces in person, but this is a nice substitute. I've also had the opportunity to work with a number of you over the years, and it's one of my favorite things to do, really, at the museum here. It's a real pleasure just to learn from all of you in my position here. So like many other organizations, we've been closed for just over 3 months since COVID hit. And it almost feels as if, all of our plans and opportunities and challenges were just totally derailed since COVID. And with that, all of our resources were redirected really in seeing how we can still meet the needs of the Sunshine Coast. So we operate the Sunshine Coast Museum and Archives. We are the regional heritage museum for the whole lower Sunshine Coast. So although we're located in Gibsons, we serve all the way from Portmelon up to Egmont. So it's quite a large geographical area encompassing the Squamish and the Sechelt Nation, as well as many settler communities. So luckily we have a really strong digital presence through all of our work in digitization over the years. So we have digitized online newspapers and photographs, a really strong oral history collection with interviews from people from the Sunshine Coast. So what we decided to do with during COVID, after the initial shell shock wore off, was to put everything together into an online resource page called Museum at Home. And so on this resource page, you have all of our digitized resources, plus some newly developed resources that we created during COVID, including a history quiz, as well as the sharing of audio recordings. So people could really still reach the historical content that we have within this building from the comfort of their own home. So we reached out to the school district to share this content, and we really wanted people to be able to feel as if they could still have the museum experience from home. And a great resource from that was our virtual tour, which is on our website as well. So again, after the shell shock wore off a little bit, it really felt like a crisis is opportunity situation. So during this time we've been closed, we went down to just a skeleton staff, and we really just started digging through the collection and doing a lot of collections work that we haven't had the opportunity to do in a number of years. So with the gradual plans to reopen, which will be coming in the next few weeks or so, we're just finalizing the visual cues and the flow through the museum. We're starting to shift our focus back to the challenges and the opportunities that we have at the museum. So we're in our 3rd year of our strategic plan, our 5-year plan that we created in 2018. So I just wanted to touch on 2 of the challenges that we are facing. And the first really is an increased capacity for collections, so housing the archives and artifacts from the Sunshine Coast and preserving them for future generations. Many thanks to the town of Gibsons the building that the collection is housed is owned by the town of Gibsons, and we rent it from them for a great fee per year. I believe it's $1 a year that we have the rental. So thanks to the town of Gibsons for that. So really, we need to increase our capacity. We've really maxed out the building in terms of what we can accept in terms of collections, especially for artifacts. So we do have an off-site storage, and we're currently working on developing the infrastructure to actually have artifacts stored at that site. Of course, temperature and fluctuations and humidity are real concerns for preservation. So capacity in terms of collections, accepting collections, as well as presenting exhibits within the space that we have. There's such a wide, diverse range of histories on the coast. And it brings us to our second challenge, I think, as an organization, is really to have, how do we do a better job at exploring the histories of the Sunshine Coast that have been hidden? So really talking about, you know, the non-celebratory settler stories of the coast. How do we present these? How do we start presenting these? Because I think we've done a great job at presenting the settler stories in a celebratory way. But there are so many stories that have been hidden that we really need to do a better job at. And so we've been working really hard with the nations. We have a really strong relationship with the Squamish Nation over the years in co-curation of exhibits. So our plans coming up for 2020, 2021, we're working with Raquel Joe from Temswea Museum in the Sechelt Nation. We're going to be hosting a temporary exhibit on residential school here at the Sunshine Coast Museum. So that's a little bit of our plans moving forward. And yeah, I look forward to hearing what other folks are up to and perhaps finding ways that we can dovetail our efforts moving forward.
Thank you, Matthew. And one of the things that Matthew and I were together early this afternoon, during the COVID, we had kind of an art contest and in concert with the Gibsons Public Art Gallery. And I was surprised. I learned this afternoon, I think we had 128 entries submitted, representing, in addition to ourselves, 9 different countries. So people found us and people submitted entries. We had some draws today. We had some draw prizes for local people on the Sunshine Coast. I thought I was doing pretty good by donating a book on behalf of the town, a Salish Sea, but IGA outdid us by donating 2 $100 gift cards. And I'm sure that the first prize winner of the book would rather have been the third prize winner, but that's okay. So it was really good, and those I think Matthew is looking after those in terms of the pictures and archiving those as well as a kind of a remembrance of this COVID period in terms of art that was produced. So thank you for that, Matthew.
Absolutely, yeah. I forgot to mention one last thing, but that was something that we've been working on as well as the rapid response collecting during COVID. So working with GPEG to collect images of artwork. Doing oral history interviews with residents of Christensen Village. We're hiring photographers to go out in the community and snap photos. It's just such a wild time that we're living in. I think it's really important that we document it during the time. So
excellent, thank you. Okay, School District 46, Pamela.
Thank you. For those of you that know me, know that I'm probably not capable of speaking for less than 6 minutes. So our superintendent has been presenting our situation with COVID to parents, teachers, principals for quite some time. So I'm going to pass that along over to him to make a quick report.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Pamela, for that. I need to confess that I'm multitasking because let's see if I can put this in the right place. That's a live stream of our, not a live stream, but the video playing right now of the children of Gibsons, of the town of Gibsons graduating from Elphinstone.
Oh, excellent.
You can see it happening. So I've got that running there right here because this is the first time I've not been able to be at graduations, although that's only partially true because the way it was done is 2 weeks ago Saturday, all of these students, this all happened then, and it's being broadcast and was just released at 7 p.m. this evening and is running right now so that families could all celebrate together and you can see that, actually I will hold it up just for a moment there. You can see that, sorry if that's not awesome, but I'll do my best. Mr. Brisebois is standing there as principal, and they have a divider between him and the students. And that's part of the social distancing that is being done so that everybody can be safe. There isn't an audience there. The kids are shuffled off the stage, and it looks very much as it always has. And you can see the kids coming up, and normally, of course, there would have been a handshaking and things like that. Of course, we're not doing that, but it's pretty neat to see that this is still happening, and there's lots of sharing with family, and of course, everybody wants to see their children walk across that stage because it's a huge thing to be proud of. So, so I apologize for multitasking, but not really. So this whole COVID experience has made me realize that when it was necessary for us to, I think somebody else is on there, that it used to be a big deal when we would call a snow day. Turns out that's not a big deal. A COVID pandemic is a much bigger deal and a much bigger impact on schools. So as everybody knows, we began with the schools being closed to in-class instruction after the spring break, and went along like that until the beginning of June, where we've moved to what's known in education as stage 3, which is 2 days a week for our elementary students. K to 5 are welcome to come to school, and 1 day per week for grades 6 and 7, as well as grades 8 to 12. Teachers have just done a phenomenal job of figuring out how to make that work in the best way possible, given the limited connection and the fact that this isn't what they're trained to do. It's very different from what they're trained to do. And so it's remarkable that it has worked out as well as it has. We've worked very hard to communicate constantly with families to make sure that they're on top of what's happening as best we can. There's limitations to that as well, but there's the reality that we've all wanted to always know more than we actually know. We don't know what's happening next, and we don't know a lot in terms of what things will look like, for instance, in September. We do have a series of stages, and in fact, I'm just going to see if, yeah, you're going to let me do it. I'm going to share a screen here. These are the stages that we have for schools to be either very much closed down in stage 5 or basically completely open in stage 1 with hygiene and sanitation practices in place. Right now we're in stage 3 in June 2020, I wrote on the top there, and that's indicating K to 5, as I said, 2 to 3 days, 6 to 7, 1 day per week, and 8 to 12. And of course there's remote learning, and in this stage parents have the flexibility to do either remote learning or in-class learning. Stage 2, that option isn't there. Our teachers will be fully involved in teaching at the elementary level 5 days per week, so there's no remote instruction then. And I would hope if our numbers stay good in BC that we would be at stage 2 or even stage 1 in September. That's the hope. Hope and planning are different, and the ministry certainly wants to be in stage 1, that all of our students are where they belong in our schools, working with our staff. Reality will interfere with that. We're pretty confident of that. So we are prepared. We have extensive protocols in all of our schools, and we've now proven that we can do this. We have all of our staff have been in at different times, not all day, every day, but they have all been in. They have all had health and safety training. Our custodians are magic people to make sure that we're clean and sanitized and very hygienic in our schools. The kids are kids. We have professionals in all of our schools who know how to work with them and support them and teach them about how we have to behave differently to keep everybody safe. And so they're doing a terrific job of that. So there's quite a few other details that I could go through, but I don't think I will, because if there is particular interest, I'd be happy to respond to any questions that Mayor Beamish, if you have, or anyone else has, I'd be happy to respond to that. I would like, just before I sign off in my little bit here, to thank the community, certainly the town of Gibsons, as well as all of the other communities that we work with, all the way up to Egmont. It's a special role that we have, is in that we do stretch the entire Sunshine Coast, that we have schools and people in every community, and we serve families right from ferry to ferry. The families, the organizations, the businesses, everybody has been working so hard to accommodate the parents of our students, because As we all know, there's many families who are in serious financial hardship because of the COVID pandemic. And we also have people who need to work, but they've got their kids at home. And so we know that businesses and associations and organizations have been very flexible with the parents of our students, and we very much appreciate that. Throughout it, we've heard the mentions of the strategic plan that different boards and councils have, and it's absolutely true for ours that our strategic plan is based on a very strong vision and mission and affirmation of Indigenous peoples that is a guiding light for us, that anytime we're trying to make a decision that isn't necessarily one of our specific goals, we can go back to that vision or that mission or those values and say, okay, what are we going to do that is the right, carefully considered way to move forward in this way? So I'm incredibly honored to be working with over 600 staff people who we have in our district, who are just making things happen in a way we never thought we would have to. They've done a fantastic job, and I couldn't be prouder of them. So thank you very much for your time.
Patrick, Pamela, thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. I have one of those teaching assistants in my house, and I know just how challenging and how hard everybody has been working. It seems like a day off, but it's never a day off, so thank you. Going down to affordable housing, who's going to speak on affordable housing?
I'll speak. My name is Chris Newmeyer. I sit on the board of directors for the Affordable Housing Society. I just also wanted to thank Patrick. My wife works with him, Robin Dickinson, and I know how hard the school district has been working for this. So it's been amazing to see how great they are. I can't say enough good things about them. And on that note, I also wanted to thank the town of Gibsons for their great partnership. Councillor Ladwig has been our liaison, has been amazing, helping us with her knowledge and kind of how to navigate everything. So for those who don't know, the Affordable Housing Society is the one doing the project on Franklin Road, which is currently under construction. The foundation has been poured, the frames are starting to go up. We expect it to be done in March. That is going to be a small mixed income model affordable housing for long-term rentals. And then following that, hopefully at late 2020 or early 2021, the Shaw Road project will break ground. And that is a much larger project that will entail 40 rental units. Again, a mixed model income. So half will be at market value and then half will be supplemented for people who need affordable housing. We've also started development on 2 other projects. I don't want to talk too much about them because that's the way building goes. They're there one week and they're gone the next until you break ground. So like most of the other organizations, we've faced challenges due to COVID. For a lot of nonprofits, this won't be a surprise that fundraising and community outreach has been very difficult during this time. We do most of our fundraising during the spring and summer, as Gibsons is very much oriented towards outdoor activities. So our fundraising events have basically stopped. We've been focusing on reaching out with grants and things like that to make up for the difference. But it is a challenge, as those fundraising events are very much key to reaching out to the community as well as raising funds. Another challenge that we've been having that I think this meeting is partially addressing is building connections with other nonprofit organizations and groups on the coast. There's a lot of us working to improve the coast, and I think moving forward, a lot of us could do more together. There's a lot of fragmented and a lack of communication, which is why I think that the town of Gibsons did organize this event, which is a great start. We were originally planning a housing conference in partnership with Art Farm, which would have brought together a lot of the different nonprofits and speakers to discuss ways that we can all work to benefit the Sunshine Coast when it comes to affordable housing. But yeah, basically it's been our busiest year as our first 2 projects begin construction, and we look forward to the future. There's always challenges. We're a small organization, but we are very grateful for all the help that we get from our local partners, whether they're nonprofits or local governments, or even just people who chip in when they can. It's been amazing to see the community come together and help us. And we just hope that we can give back and accomplish everything that we're trying to do, and that our projects will be completed shortly. So yeah, Franklin, which is a small one, 3 units, that should be done in March, we're hoping, with people moving in shortly thereafter, which will be around the same time that Shaw breaks ground, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, which is anybody who's built a house knows, maybe not. But yeah, I just wanted to let you all know that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Christopher, thank you. And one thing that I had committed to doing is to providing a contact list after this meeting so that everybody can share back and forth and contact people who are on the call, so that we'll follow up and do that. Joe, how's the harbor doing? Are you getting many American boats coming in full of partiers? Joe, are you still with us? Yeah, I'm going to look at the second page.
There we are.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
good.
with you. You forgot to click the button. I'm so mesmerized by all the other stories. Good evening, everybody. Yes, the boats keep coming. One can self-isolate on a boat or a barge or whatever, and so we haven't seen a very big reduction in anything. It's slowed down a little bit, but not as much as one might have expected. Like every business, we've had to adapt to the COVID challenges. We shut the office down partial hours during the first couple of months while we learned what to do and what not to do, but managed to do it around the time of day when people were going down to the wharf to start their day on maintenance or upgrading or outfitting their fishing boats or whatever. So we managed to do that, and the office is now back in full operation, and business is booming. Quite frankly, it's been very busy and is weather dependent. A few less overnight stays, but lots of daytime visits, and especially on the weekends. So we're continuing along. Our big project this year, in partnership with Small Craft Harbors, who is our owner and partner, is to do a revamp and upgrade of the facility, the whole approachway down School Road, from the main street in Lower Gibsons down to the office in the harbor. It's been delayed somewhat by the COVID-19 issues, and not surprising. So we don't even have a schedule, but that's in the plan for hopefully this starting this summer, and it's a very necessary and major upgrade to a long-standing piece of capital investment. The aspirations of the board are to continue what we began in 2011, 2012, when we put in that nice, bright, shiny red ramp and the float. That's been a very, very big deal for most of our customers. We've got more dock space than we had before, and better access for barges that serve the island and the local communities around in-howe Sound. And it's better for the fishing fleet and other boats that come in for maintenance and outfitting and fishing nets and unloading, because you can take trucks down and work on that. So our aspirations are to build a second piece about the same size as what we did in 2011 and 12. And we're struggling, like everybody, to find sources of money. So we're looking at opportunities. We have some partial support. We're very happy to have the partners we have. ICT is a strong supporter, and we're looking for some other larger funders to help us with the capital costs of the float. And we still aspire to get that done, but the challenges on fundraising are quite big, as you know. So I'll stop there because we're running quite late, I think.
Joe, thank you very much. And Patrick was listening. I saw him taking notes when he talked about looking at a major project, so that maybe an opportunity there again for some federal funding. Sunshine Coast Conservation Association, Leanne or Suzanne.
Okay, well, I've got the long list here. I'll try to shorten it up. Yeah. First of all, thanks for the meeting. Obviously, this has been a real boon for all of us, I think. COVID has probably impacted us primarily around funding. There's, I would say, diminished attention to environmental issues at this time. And also, a lot of our private funders, like Mountain Equipment Co-op, have just stopped funding because their business has been shut and they don't have anything to fund with. So, and Patagonia is another. So there are funding problems there. The things that we've been working on here locally have been, we have a sort of two-pronged activity going on at the moment regarding conservation covenants, land covenants. Obviously, as Bill knows, with the town, looking at the development of a co-covenanting with the Land Conservancy, which has a longer history and a deeper history with the legalities of covenants on public and private land. And we're also developing a program to help and implement the covenants on people's private land, so that conservation covenants could be put in place, primarily impacting more in rural areas where people own larger chunks of land that they may wish to covenant. But it's an interesting development that we've been working on there. The forestry issues, there are a lot of forestry issues going on that have to do with the new BC Timber Sales 5-year cutting plan, and consultations going on regarding that cutting plan in various parts of the coast. But we also have ongoing concerns around endangered species, and particularly around a marbled murrelet recovery plan, which is sort of partially underway, but we would like to see that implemented a lot more vigorously. But with the town, there are some areas of concern we have with the town, particularly. We'd really love to see restoration of the eelgrass beds. We've lost 25%, and we really want to get that happening. Would love to help in any way we can around that. And also around issues of creeks and culverts, both for the erosion issues that arise and will continue to increase with climate change and weather changes and intensity. One of my favorite things, the IDFs, Dave Newman taught me. The intensity of our rainfall and the frequency. And also that has a big impact on fish and the restoration of fish, the salmon species in particular on both Gibsons Creek and Sharman Creek. So I'll wrap it up there.
Thank you, Leanne. One of the things that I know our council is interested in, and we're going to work on, I'm hoping within this term, and that is, as I mentioned, the whole idea of the dedication of White Tower Park and the Sharman lands, and creating that corridor that goes right down with Councillor Kroll and Manny and Donna McMahon and I, we walked to Sharman Creek recently. I think it's a perfect opportunity for a restoration, getting the knotweed out of there and working with that. We have a real good opportunity for a conservation corridor right up to Upper Gibsons through that, and we really would like to work with you guys on that. These are never easy things, and they're never easy conversations, but we have to start somewhere, and I think we have a will with this council to focus on that, and we have 2 years left. So I'd like to see that, so that thank you for everything you do with us. Thank you. Rain City Housing, Nick or Isaac?
Yeah, let's see. Is my mic working this time?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Can you see me?
I can see you, yes.
Oh, perfect. All right. I figured it out. Yeah, so hi, everyone. Thanks so much to the town for hosting us. It's so great to see so many faces that I haven't seen in a while. I think it's felt like a really weird time to be so out of in-person connection in Gibsons, especially because we've got so much really exciting work coming up there. And, you know, over the last 3 months, we had plans for engaging CIC, for doing a whole bunch of community outreach work around our residents who we might be supporting at the new supportive housing building that we're opening. And that's all really been not possible. So, I mean, Rain City Housing organizationally has gone through pretty seismic shifts in the way that we've had to approach the work that we do pretty much across the board. And that's absolutely includes all the work we're doing on the coast right now. I mean, especially in the context of shelter and supported housing, you know, beyond putting a roof around, you know, a roof over people's heads and providing some meals and making sure people's basic needs are met, really like the core of the work we do is around engagement in person, right? Like we meet people, we talk to them, we sit down with them, we take them to appointments, we, you know, we stay with them when they're in trouble, we make sure that they're safe if they're using, and we can respond to overdoses, and all of those pieces of work have dramatically changed, right? Like I think we probably spent the better part of the first month after a lot of the restrictions came in place, just making sure that our staff had the right personal protective equipment they needed to go to work and stay safe. And, you know, even more so, I think what we've seen, and I think Heather mentioned this, you know, what we're seeing is that we're now working with a population of people who are probably even more vulnerable than they were 3 months ago, right? So folks who used to be able to go hang out at the library and use the washroom there, and used to be able to go find resources in the form of drop-in centers and all these other places that are just no longer available to people. So we've seen, you know, we've seen people really struggling. Our staff have been doing an incredible job. Our management, Nick and Sean and Eli and Megan have all been doing incredible work. Like I think we got to see, since the closure of the shelter in Gibsons, we got to see really successful transitions for a lot of folks over to our shelter in Seashalt, and a lot of the folks who had moved over are still there, with hopes that they'll be able to move into supportive housing in Gibsons once we open, which is really exciting. Yeah, so I mean, I think in some ways it's, as I'm hearing, and I'm sure is totally true for everyone in this virtual room, we're, you know, it feels like we're a long way through a very long slog that's been difficult in a lot of ways. And I'm really proud of the way that we've moved through it as an organization. I'm really proud of the way that we've moved through it with the communities that we work alongside. Sounds like everyone on this call has done some pretty amazing work, and I think we've probably all done a ton of learning. And I'm really excited that we still have supportive housing in Gibsons to look forward to. Really excited that we're able to start easing some of those restrictions to provide a little bit more of that pretty irreplaceable in-person service that we have had such a hard time providing for people over the last few months. Definitely at the outset of COVID-19, we were seeing some pretty major difficulties with staffing, and that's always a little bit scary for me as a director when I know that we're opening not 1, but 2 more projects in 6 months. But I also think that anyone who operates businesses with staff in this meeting know, like, there was a lot of uncertainty for those first couple months, and people were, you know, prioritizing family and prioritizing health and sort of figuring out all those pieces. And really in the last couple months, we've come through super strong in terms of our staff showing up at work, being really present for our folks, being really keen and centered on safety, and also still really generous with their availability and their willingness to sort of show up to work. So, I mean, I think for what's ahead for us is that we've got a really amazing facilitator who I've worked with before, provided by BC Housing, who will be restarting our community advisory committee process in Gibsons with a target of initial meetings with the town sort of as soon as possible, early September or late August, and then we'll be just jumping right into the CAC after that. So with hopes to have our first meeting, whether it's in a format like this or in person, at least a month or 2 ahead of opening that project. Timelines right now, last I heard, we were delayed slightly because of COVID-19 and a few other hitches around construction. but we are still looking at opening the supportive housing building by December, which is great. I think that that timeline feels really important and needs to stay firm so that we can get people inside their new home before the winter hits again, especially because we know, I mean, the shelter we operate in, Seashell, right now has had to reduce its capacity by 50% because of social distancing. So even the idea of opening another temporary shelter may not be possible in the future. So it's really focusing our efforts, I think, as a community and for us as a service provider on housing that's going to be sustainable and safe for people and moving away from that, you know, shelter wherever possible. So yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I'm sure I could go on, but really excited to be here, really excited to, yeah, like I say, have sort of more connections to look forward to have more housing, safe, solid, supported housing to look forward to. Yeah, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Isaac, and Nick, thank you very much as well. And I think the community action committee around the supportive housing, I'd really like to see that has some early conversations. Our council basically takes off in August, so if we can maybe meet before then and talk about how things are going to work, that would be helpful for us.
Great.
And to respond to the community as well. So.
Yeah, I know the facilitator that BC Housing has hired, her name is Diana Bully. She's amazing, and she's making connections with the town right now. So I think she'll be talking to you about preferences for that initial meeting sometime pretty shortly. So
thank you. Yeah. Daryl, are you off your beach? Yeah.
No, I'm still here.
Great background. When you get up and walk around, it looks like you're going for a swim or something.
That's actually, I don't even know the name of the road, but it's at the end of one of the roads here in Gibsons. I don't know. I haven't lived here long enough to know the roads yet. So
in Bonnybrook, it looks like you're in Area E. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Beautiful out there. So evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. Just a little bit of background with COVID. We didn't slow down. Our food bank actually ramped up. We started doing deliveries, full-on deliveries. Still did our community meals twice a week, but it was all delivery. We did have some people coming around, which was good because, like we talked about, a lot of the people that we serve were, it was hard for them because they live in isolation. So they were able to come out and say hi and things like that, which we were really happy with. One of the benefits of it all, and we've had amazing community support, Rotary Club, Super Value IGA, a bunch of other businesses in town, lots and lots and lots of support, lots of new volunteers. And so that's been wonderful. That's been really good. And also we've improved our community connections, especially with the other food banks on the coast. There's a lot of connections that happen there on how to work together and improve service. And as you may know, the Sunshine Coast Community Food Drive that happened brought in about $85,000. So that's amazing work for the coast and for the people on the coast. But moving forward, you might also all know that we did have a fire. Finally, that was back in October of last year. We finally got back into our building in February, and we opened up what we call the Hope Cafe. That's where people could come in every day, 10 till noon, and just hang out, have a coffee, have a snack, and socialize. We started doing some groups and stuff in there. Unfortunately, with COVID, we had to shut that down, which again goes to that isolation piece, which is really difficult for people. We are happy that we have opened that up again now with COVID in place. We only can have 5 people in the room at a time, but we're still encouraging people to come and just sit and have a coffee and say hi and to make connections, because that's really important to us and what we're doing. As you may know, and Isaac hit on a little bit, we are very concerned about overdoses. The month of May was the worst month ever in BC, and we are dealing with that with our clientele and our friends and what's going on there. So that's a big concern of ours, and we know that connections help a lot with that. So our meeting place, our what we used to call our chapel, that the renovation there has been done, and we are opening that up to anybody who wants to come and do a program. Anybody who wants to have a meeting, meet with people, anything they want to do, they can come into that space. Actually got confirmation today that Canadian Mental Health are going to start doing On Tuesdays and Thursdays, starting the second week in July, they're going to have drop-in counseling sessions, and they're going to start doing groups at our facility. So once we got the exact times of that, we'll get that out to everybody. But that is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, starting the second week in July. They're going to have drop-in counseling sessions, and then people can sign up for private sessions at the same time. So we're really excited about that, and we want that to be open to anybody who wants to come out. We're looking to the future and how we can connect and help other people connect. So, and lastly, our thrift store is open, and please go shop at the thrift store, because that helps our funds and that helps feeding people and all the other stuff we do. So I will leave it at that, because it's getting late. So thank you.
Daryl, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And great job you guys are doing, and it's super important in the community, especially at this time. I sure appreciate that. Going to Gibsons Rotary Club.
Good evening, everyone, and I will try to be relatively brief as the time is marching on. I think most people will know that Rotary clubs are service clubs, primarily, entirely made up of volunteers who seek to take action to solve problems in their local community or much further afield. Rotary historically, or at least for the last 40 years or so, has been very involved in the worldwide campaign to end polio, to completely eradicate polio on a worldwide scale. And we are this close to a complete eradication of polio across the world. The Rotary Club in Gibsons, we try to respond to local needs and also to some international needs. Each year we always support a number of graduating students from Elphinstone and from the alternative school, and I was interested to see Patrick showing the what we might call the virtual graduation ceremony taking place. Normally we would be there handing out anything up to 15 or 16 scholarships or bursaries, and that's one of our primary regular things, and we want to carry on doing that. We try to respond to the calls upon our time and our money from usually smaller local organisations that we can help, and we do that to the extent of $20,000 or $30,000 each year. And in terms of volunteer hours, our small club has clocked up over 2,000 volunteer hours. These are not hours at Rotary, attending Rotary meetings. These are hours devoted to service for others. Like everyone else, fundraising has been threatened. We do our primary fundraising actually in late summer and the fall, and then we spend the rest of the year spending it all. And so we are looking to our major fundraising efforts now, and the first one on the calendar is a golf tournament. It's something that we've held every year for many, many years. And although the golf courses are open, it's very, very difficult to organise a tournament with a huge number of players all turning up at the same time, shotgun start, and milling around and meeting up afterwards for a great dinner and prize giving and all that sort of thing. The golf tournament is our biggest fundraiser of the year, and it really looked in doubt until we decided to turn it into a virtual golf tournament. Can you imagine a virtual golf tournament? If you, the basic concept is that we throw the competition open to any golfers anywhere in the world, anywhere. They can play on any course at any time. Instead of all congregating at the Roberts Creek Golf Course on one day, they can play at any course at any time before the 29th of August. They pay us a small entry fee, a relatively small entry fee, which we hope, because we hope we'll get a lot more golfers involved in it this way. We hope that will accumulate at least as much as we made on last year's golf tournament, which was $20,000. And there are those among us who think it could be a lot more. We will, of course, be looking for sponsors for that tournament, and they're a big part of the income for that fundraiser as well. The other fundraiser that will follow up quite soon after that, in the fall, will be the online auction, and we are also widening that to use an online platform that will enable us to make available for bidding a lot of items that would be of interest to people from a wider circle than just people on the coast. So although we're very grateful for the donations that normally come from businesses on the coast, we know some of them won't be able to do it this year. And we're very grateful for all the people that bid in the auction on the coast. And we know some of those won't be able to do it this year. We're widening it so that we've got quite a few items in our auction coming up in November that will be attractive to people throughout the lower mainland, throughout BC, even conceivably throughout other parts of the world. The sort of experience type items that we think will be attractive. So we're widening that as well. So our key thing is that we have rethought our fundraisers to respond to the circumstances, because we still want to raise funds, because we still want to perform service. We still want to offer grants and volunteer hours to the community. So that is my summary, really. As soon as COVID started, we just turned around our normal grant making activity. We immediately homed in on the food banks and made a substantial donation there, and then made a substantial donation to the emergency COVID grants process that's been handled by Wendy Francis and the Community Foundation. And so most of the money that we raised last year has ended up in these COVID-related events or projects. And now we're turning around our mind to the new fundraisers for this year. And we hope we'll be open for business in terms of making grants, contributing to the community in all sorts of ways in the future. And I'm not here to ask you to help Rotary. I'm really here to say to you, how can Rotary help our community? What is it you would like Rotary to do in this community over the next year? And we definitely are open to ideas, and we're open to challenges. So please tell us what you'd like us to do in the coming months.
Chris, thank you very much, and thank you for everything that Rotary does do. As I mentioned, you're partnering with us on the student council, And that's been a very successful project, and we've had very proud of the students we've had go through there, and the Armors Beach project and other things you've done in the community. So thank you again for that. So I'm going to move on to Alan. Are you still with us? Have you held in there with House Sound Pulp and Paper?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Good, thank you. Alan, Alan,
Okay.
House on Pulp and Paper is the largest employer on the Sunshine Coast, and they do an awful lot in the community. And the health of House on Pulp and Paper is the health of our community in a lot of ways. So thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us and hosting this
Your
meeting.
microphone?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Still not working?
That's better.
Okay, sorry about that. So as you mentioned, we've been part of the community for 110 years, a little more than that. And we're grateful for the support that the community has shown us. Listening to the other people talk about the work they do in the community has been pretty inspiring tonight. So thank you for sharing that. And I'd also like to thank our medical community in this time of the pandemic for keeping us all safe. I think that has shown in how hard that has hit us in the community. I think BC has done fairly well compared to the rest of the world. So that's really good to see. As you mentioned at the beginning, we tried to support the community as well. Last year, we supported the night markets, and this year we did some gift certificates around the community in the different restaurants. So hopefully that's helpful. COVID has been a concern at the mill, but we've managed to stay running. We've taken steps to protect our employees and anybody that's coming into the mill. And we appreciate their support and the support of our union, Unifor Local 1119. So just one concern, you've mentioned it already, housing is a concern for us when we're trying to attract new hires. So anything along that lines, we certainly support efforts in that vein to make it more affordable for people to live here. And then just another a note for people in the community, we typically have a major shutdown every year. It's usually around $12 to $15 million we spend in a couple of weeks. This year, with the COVID and the concerns with working closely, we've postponed that shutdown to it'll probably be around February of 2021. So that'll be a change for this year. And otherwise, we do have one smaller boiler shutdown in the fall. But besides that, we'll try to stay running and supporting the world economy with pulp make tissue products and packaging products that are used at this time. So that's all I have, short and sweet, but thanks again for having us here. Appreciate it.
Alan, thank you very much. And I know that Paper Excellence, who you're with, also very active on the island. And not every community is as lucky as we are to have a mill that is continuing to run at full capacity and it goes. So that's very important to us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Sunshine Coast Regional Economic Development, Colin.
Hi there, thank you, Bill. I appreciate everybody sticking with us. I'm going to try to dance through this pretty quickly. And so, yeah, my name is Colin Stansfield. For anybody I haven't met, feel free to reach out to me after this call if anything I say raises concerns or questions. I'm exec@scredo.ca. I should say this evening, as much as I'm speaking on behalf of Scredo, I'm also here representing a business and economic recovery task force that we started up on April 1st. Members of that are all three of our local chambers, the Sunshine Coast Credit Union, Sunshine Coast Community Futures, Sunshine Coast Tourism, as well as the Work BC office and the Downtown Business Association in Seashell. We've been getting together weekly to make sure that we are coordinating our efforts, not duplicating anything. The key focus in so much of that in the first wave of COVID was in supporting local businesses to navigate the different federal and provincial relief measures that were coming out, hearing from them in the first moment what they would need to just be able to weather that first phase of the storm. A lot of other work been done in between. One of the easiest ways that you can find it is by visiting the Business Recovery Center that we launched at scbrc.ca. Typically in emergency response programs, you set up a business recovery center and it's brick and mortar, but obviously in times of COVID, one can't do that. So we set up a site. It's got a hotline attached to it. We've been encouraging businesses who have questions about really anything related to business continuity or recovery to reach out to us, and we've been getting great calls on that line. The work of that task force is again coming to a bit of a head. This Thursday morning, 8:30, we're hosting an online business forum. We've brought in Charlene Sanjenko and the team from Powerhouse to help us facilitate that. We've got a nearly full digital room of 60 businesses participating for generously giving up 2.5 hours of their time, with the two key questions being, what do you need to get through the next 90 days so we can make the most of this break that we're having right now? But also then, what are your aspirations for this community? And I think maybe there is a place I'll sort of jump in on 3 of the higher points for us. And one is to recognize that we are still very much in an emergency. As much as the weather is turning and there's discussions of moving into phase 3 and reopening and the rest, it is absolutely a state of emergency for our businesses. I think I would also like to impress upon you that we can't think of the economy in isolation. We absolutely must be mindful of the fact that it's the social determinants of health, the social and economic factors that influence people's health. So it's not just income and income distribution or employment and working conditions, unemployment, job security, but also housing and food insecurity, social exclusion, gender, race, disability. All of these things are very important when we think about economic activity, and that's certainly how we approach it at Scredo. And of course, this is nothing new. We've been, as we aspire to build a model of economy that looks after a whole community, it's very important that we recognize that that's a style of economy that existed here since time immemorial, largely until we disrupted it as settler communities. And so how we can bring some of those values forward is very important. And then what I would try to, again, make sure that we're all very aware of is that we have agency in this, right? And so what we want to inspire people to do is to recognize that the economy is a tool for self-determination, that our ability to act and to build on our regional priorities through our economy is something that is very much achievable. So in terms of work that we are doing and that is ongoing, tourism, I'll let Paul speak to rather than step on any of his toes. Great work being done in that side of our economy. In the food space, we were tested during COVID. We recognize that there's critically important nodes all along at every stage in our food system. And largely through entrepreneurship and innovation, we stepped up and created some really cool new resiliency, but still a long way to go. Natural resources remain a critical pillar of our economy here on the Sunshine Coast, whether it's forestry, energy, mining, all industries that require attention, but where we're blessed to have some very progressive, award-winning companies that are already working at the the forefront of their respective industries, and so we stand in good stead there. We do have a vibrant retail economy, anchored really by lively high streets, but also inclusive of e-commerce and livelihood entrepreneurs, the folks that you see at your farmers and artisans markets. And so as vibrant as that has always been, critically important that we support them now. We lose considerable sums of money to off-coast buying, and we need as community members to commit to supporting our local businesses. And finally, I would also bring up that when we think about the economy, it's important to recognize that social service organizations, be they traditional charities or enterprising not-for-profits, social enterprises, they also comprise a really critical sector of our economy and must be included in discussions of community and economic development. So all of those things, as you think about them, please know that Scredo is here and eager to hear from each of you. I think we've enjoyed being a member of the Sunshine Coast Community Task Force and maybe showing up in conversations where folks may not have expected us in the past. And so then just in terms of leaving you with a few questions, things that we're wondering about, some of those how might we statements, wondering about, how might we develop a robust, well-trained and well-compensated service sector such that we are able to take care of coastal residents and visitors alike? How might we ensure that our transportation system, whether it's land, sea, or air, is up to the task of moving people and goods in ways that are reliable, efficient, and sustainable, but also that have the capacity to keep up with the needs of our growing communities? We have how might we question around creating space for young adults to lead fulfilling lives on the coast, providing opportunities here at home so that they don't need to move away once they graduate high school. And so think about people like Voice Lab is a wonderful program. If you're not familiar with it, look them up. They're doing great things to advocate on behalf of 19 to 40-year-olds and the contributions they can make to our local communities. How might we build a vast network of livelihood entrepreneurs that make their living on the edges of, I think, what is typically considered the conventional economy, contributing not only financial capital, but also social, human, and cultural capital. Maybe a last one then, just I think is really important. How might we ensure that every member of our community has fair and equitable access to income generating opportunities? We are right now having hundreds of folks reliant upon federal relief measures that at some point will expire. We've found out that people here are really in desperate need, and we need to make sure that as the economy begins to reopen, that we are doing that in an equitable fashion that does provide opportunities for everyone. So that's me sort of racing through too many pieces and probably going so fast that my computer is bouncing up and down. But I appreciate all of your time and do sincerely ask that if you have questions, concerns, if so much of that sounded like bullshit, reach out, let me know, take us to task. We're here to be a participant in this conversation.
Colin, thank you very much. There's an excellent summary. Now, I have to ask you, on the Thursday meeting you're going to have, is it possible for people to sit in and observe?
At this point, no. And the reason is that we're doing a whole lot of breakout rooms and facilitated discussions. So only so many leaders for those. But we will be capturing everything that we learn in there and sharing it out widely. So again, keep paying attention to scbrc.ca.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on to Paul. Thank you for Sunshine Coast Tourism. We're almost at the end, folks, and thanks for hanging in there. Lucy, thanks for staying awake.
Hi, everybody. Paul Kamen, Sunshine Coast Tourism. So end of 2019, heading into 2020, we were coming off three record tourism seasons on the Sunshine Coast. In 2019, we collected 20 million in traditional accommodation revenue. And when you add short-term rentals to that, that adds up to $28 million in revenue just from accommodations. So the tourism sector obviously is very important. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be unmarketing the coast at the beginning of this year and telling people to stay away. It was a very odd situation to be dealing with as a marketer. And we're slowly building a path back to marketing the coast again. Right now we're running a Coast Love campaign, which is hyper-local targeting, primarily through social media and local newspapers and magazines, promoting the coast and promoting people to visit and explore their backyards and support our local businesses. So that's going to continue for the next few months and continue promoting that and building up community pride. But once that switch flips to phase 3, we will shift our marketing and start to focus on obviously the Metro Vancouver market, which is close to 80% of the visitors that come to the coast, Vancouver Island, Sea to Sky corridor. So we're going to start branching out and trying to, attract more people. But of course, ferries is the bottleneck towards our economy, and we're currently throttled with the reduced sailing schedules on Route 3. I am happy to announce, if you haven't heard already, they did add another sailing midday to help, and they are seeing increased heavy traffic, which will hopefully increase sailings. They'll add more sailings as the traffic demands it. So fingers crossed that this summer we'll get back to a decent schedule. But right now we're operating with, I believe, 7 sailings on Route 3. Heading into summer, and last summer we had 12 sailings, and that was facing overloads last year. So we are in for a bit of a challenge, but we are working closely with ferries to get them to add sailings as traffic demand increases, and we are expecting a surge. I'm seeing a number of accommodations on the coast that have literally booked solid July, August, and starting into September. So there's pent-up demand, obviously, for travel. The Sunshine Coast is positioned to see a lot of those travelers. But again, our ferry system has to accommodate us to enable us to sort of seize the opportunity, so to speak. But of course, that has to be balanced with public safety and getting businesses to put in, solid protocols to keep everyone safe so that we continue to remain open. Otherwise, this could be a very hard year for a lot of businesses, and we're seeing that already. So anything we can do to support, safe businesses and maintaining that fine balance between safety and opening our economy is really the trick here. Our organization is, took a big hit, obviously, but we've had some supports from the province and the federal government, thankfully, which will keep us operating in 2021. So, things are looking positive for us, but we have to be vigilant and take our responsibilities for safety very serious, both as hosts and also the guests that are coming here need to take their safety protocols seriously as well, so that we can work together to get through this. Otherwise, if anyone has any more detailed questions and wants to reach out, please feel free, paul@sunshinecoastcanada.com, and I will be part of that business forum on Thursday. Thank you.
Paul, thank you very much, and I appreciate your staying with us tonight and hanging in there with us. So moving on to public market. Pam, how is the market doing?
I'm going to ask Vicki to provide our update,
Okay,
Bill.
thank you.
Hi there. Well, so having only returned to the coast in March to take on this new role, I really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this call and connect with all of you and learn what people are doing. Like many others, COVID-19 certainly disrupted our momentum and threw us temporarily off course, which was disheartening to the organization after such a strong 2019, a year led by my predecessor who's on the call, Colin Stansfield. That year, they welcomed 96,000 visitors to the Gibsons public market, hosted 881 events. They ran successful night markets and marketplaces and pop-up shops that supported our local livelihood entrepreneurs, delivered programs to 146 of the school district classrooms through our aquarium program, and launched the Healthy Harbor Project in partnership with the Township of Gibsons. So it was a really great year, and we had some wonderful thoughts on how this year was going to proceed. So, of course, like everybody else, we had to reimagine things. But we were thrilled that the food merchants managed to stay open to provide fresh food to the community, and we're actually looking forward to getting them back up to regular days by the middle of July and back to regular hours by August. With all of our COVID-19 safety plan in place, we launched just today our sold-out Ocean Explorers Kids Camp. The kids that were there today were very, very excited to be out of their homes and doing something with other children. And we're also looking forward to opening up our aquarium again on July 3rd. And we're hoping to be all ready to open up our gathering space again in time for Canada Day. Of course, we've got some distancing rules in place and all of those things. So we're quite excited to be moving forward with those things. Of course, being a nonprofit society that also operates a charity, we rely on fundraising just like numerous others that are on this call. And our staff and our volunteers are working very hard at planning our second annual Rockfish Art Festival. And of course, our largest fundraiser of the year, which is our gala and tribute, which will take place as a virtual event on September 12th. So please save that date. Our theme this year is Together Again, Reconnecting the Coast. And we hope it's going to be safe for us to have people gather in small groups within their homes or within their businesses and celebrate that way. And we'll connect everybody virtually. Our aim is, of course, to have it be a real engaging event so that we have that same energy that leads to the success of our traditional galas. We're grateful, of course, for the COVID-19 specific funding that has come through organizations like the Community Foundation, and we appreciate all the government programs that are in place, and we've been taking advantage of any of them that we can possibly qualify for, and that's really been vital to us in order to keep moving forward and not have to lay off staff. We've been bringing back our staff slowly, and we're almost back up to full numbers. We've even got the Canada Summer Jobs in place. Those young people are joining us within the next couple of weeks. Good. So we continue to explore ways just to stay relevant and meet the needs of the community. So like the Rotary Club, you know, if there's things that you think we should be doing, or just ways in which you think we can offer up more to the coast, please just share that with us. We're looking forward to moving forward with caution and optimism, but just to get back to being proactive and less reactive. That's kind of our update.
Vicki, Pam, thank you very much. And challenging year, but I look forward to the gala. And you know, the interesting concept, have people over for dinner and join the gala. And I think it's going to be an interesting kind of way to have a party. So nice coming out. Going to track. Alan, are you with us?
I am.
Good.
Well, yeah, my name's Alan Williams. I'm the current chair of Transportation Choices. We're a volunteer organization with a mission to promote active alternatives to single occupancy vehicles. So that includes walking, cycling, transit, and now apparently never leaving your house. But think more along the lines of, you know, smiling faces walking on our streets than never leaving your house. I'd like to recognize all the challenges that the service providers, most of you that I've heard from tonight, are struggling with related to this. You guys have done some pretty amazing things. I'd also like to recognize how lucky we are on the Sunshine Coast to have such amazing, open, available spaces, and encourage all of us to use that. Our outdoor public spaces are more important than ever. To give you a sense of our organization, you may know us through Bike to Work Week, which we've run for years on the Sunshine Coast, and it's recently expanded into Active Transportation Month, which is a month-long celebration of biking, walking, busing, etc. Unfortunately, the event with all its gathering planned for May was canceled. In its place, we're planning a scaled-back version in September and October that'll be promoting walking and cycling as COVID-safe activities. We also host membership events, movie nights, hosted discussions, etc. And we're hoping to see how we can provide socially distanced versions of those over the fall and winter. At this time, we see a number of opportunities, partnering with local governments and other organizations to secure grants and promoting active transportation. For example, in the past, we've partnered with Vancouver Coastal Health to supply the alternative school with a bike library. We see opportunities to work with local governments to provide or access expertise on innovative planning ideas. In terms of challenges, something we think we're hopefully getting better at, but it's always an effort, is communication with our membership, local governments and other groups, both providing it and receiving it. And I guess that's what this meeting is all about, and we really appreciate being part of that conversation. Another challenge shared by a lot of groups, I think, on the coast is that there's so many jurisdictions here. That for us means that there's many groups responsible for active transportation, making the planning and implementation of that so much harder. So especially now, when these hallway meetings are a thing of the past, we need more communication like this. It goes without saying that, you know, COVID is, and the social distancing is required, has put all sorts of events much more difficult to put on or even imagine. So we're really looking forward to see how our open spaces can be used as our lives start to open up. So we're really just trying to facilitate improved active transportation infrastructure where everybody can get out, all ages and abilities can get out and feel comfortable, and where our neighborhoods are connected by bike and walking paths, and where the infrastructure just invites us to come out and use our community. So sales pitch over. Thanks everybody for sticking around for as long as you did. You can find out more about what we do at Transportation Choices, and if there's ways that you think you can collaborate or we can collaborate with you, please get a hold of us.
Maybe I'll just throw one last word in there about, even though it has been difficult to
organize events. It has been great to see so many people out walking, to see people on their bikes. One of the things we did recently was we did put an ad in the Coast Reporter, just recognizing that, and we had a good response to that.
Yeah, it's been huge up in our neighborhood. Faces I've never seen, and groups walking, families walking, biking. It's been an excellent time. I appreciate it. You're right. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to go to Mickey from Cap University. Mickey, do you want to say a few words? You've been listening to us all night.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight and to join all of you. And, I was born and raised here many years ago, and I'm just coming back after some 40 years. And tonight I just feel extremely blessed to be working within this community. And I think, I really think it's important that that people understand that the Cal High campus is a host location of programming. So we are developing courses and programming from the North Van campus. And this year, like all of you, we've had to pivot and make huge, giants moves that we weren't all prepared for. But one of the things that we've been able to do is to put together a suite of courses for the fall for the Sunshine Coast, and they are first-year courses that are transferable courses, and that will really allow career enhancers, career changers, dual credit opportunities, those folks that are thinking about coming back to the university for the first time potentially. And the courses are designed so that there's many pathways from these 5 courses in the fall, and there'll be another selection of 5 courses in the spring. And one of the things that we'll be doing is we have successfully funded accessed funding for about $500,000, and I have been fortunate to be able to have a position at Cal High campus where we'll have somebody on staff that'll be hopefully reaching out to all of you to talk about work integrated learning opportunities, project-based opportunities, city studio, we like to call it rural studio opportunities. So if there's things that are going on within your communities or within your work that you think you could use a student in the spring, please do reach out to me about that, and I'll connect you with that person that we've just hired today. Cal High campus is also getting ready to put together its very first advisory council, which I'm very proud to say that many people on this camp and in this call have been invited to sit on this council. Because one thing we really want to make sure and certain that everyone understands is that we're not Sechelt centric just because we are located in Sechelt. We are Sunshine Coast. We're interested in the whole coast. And so one of the ways that we'll be able to reach across the Sunshine Coast is by having this advisory council. We're also very proud to have just put together the first ever ABE, Indigenous ABE program. And we'll be finding out in the next several days whether that'll be funded or not through the nation and through our contributions. So we're quite excited to be working on those pieces as well. Yeah, I think that I'm just going to keep it short as people have said, just because it's late. And I think that it's really important for folks here to understand that really one of my roles is really to be a connector and finding ways to partner, finding ways to deliver on time programming that works with our community as it shifts and changes and grows and all the things that go on. So I'm very interested in those conversations and ways of making those connections happen. So please reach out to me. I'm fairly new. I've just been back since October, but already making some great strides in this community that I call home. So thank you very much, Mayor Beamish, for having me tonight.
Mickey, thank you very much for coming. It's a good opportunity for you to meet a lot of people at one time. So folks, that's my list. Wendy Francis, are you still there? I saw your name. I just wanted to, I don't think you're there any longer. So I just want to just take a quick couple minutes because there's a couple people we didn't get a chance to hear from, and they promised to keep it short. I'm sure Donna McMahon, Area E, she's our neighbor who is impacted by everything we do. Donna?
Thanks, Bill. Okay, I got a piece of advice. Next time we do one of these meetings, this is a good idea. I like this. Every 30 minutes, a timer goes off, and whoever's talking has to lead a 3-minute disco dance. Okay, so we all get up and we do it. Like we do the time warp, or we do YMCA or something like that. And it'll keep us energized for this. So big thank you to the town of Gibsons for taking zone 3 off the regional water system. This is an example of the kind of collaboration and cooperation that's going on right now. And I got to tell you, you know, it makes a huge difference, because if you aren't spending 80% of your time worrying about conflict with other councils and other councilors and other directors, you can actually focus on fixing some problems. And hopefully that's going on at the staff level as well. I think there's been a lot more collaboration. So there's nothing like a global emergency to encourage collaboration. So let's keep it up. So I'm speaking here as an Elphinstoner, not on behalf of the SCRD. I just wanted to say that my top 3 priorities are transportation corridors locally, because we need them. We need to get around. We all know that our roads are narrow and dangerous and crumbling under our feet. And the Charmin Ravine, it is an opportunity for a great connector to Area E. Local food. Not many people know, it's an interesting statistic, that 15% of Elphinstone is ALR. And we're not making nearly as good use of it as we could. And I'd like to see more local food, make it work. Working with the Farmers Institute, they're awesome. In the Agriculture Advisory Committee meeting today, good ideas happening there. So let's make it happen. And then finally, I'd like to say, we can't forget climate change. You know, it keeps somehow falling off the table. And it's the end of the world as we know it, far more than COVID. And we've got to keep the focus there. We've got to take the lessons we've learned and take it back to climate change. It was funny, Daryl had that picture behind him taken down on Bonnie Brook Beach. And right in the background, you can see the Whitaker Creek slide that closed Lower Road, right, in December. And that's why the beach, incidentally, is so nice and sandy right now, is because it all washed out of Area D down onto the nice beach in Area E, which is maybe okay for us. But globally, this is not a good situation. And we've got to figure out how we can bring our present sense of emergency to the much larger, more critical emergency. So that's it for me from Elphinstone tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donna, for that. And I'm just going to go now to Kim, who's been patiently sitting representing Nicholas Simons. Kim, do you want to have a say at any observations?
Oh, hi there. Thank you, Bill. I'll try to make this brief. I believe it's the first Zoom meeting I've had with so many of my neighbors, so it's great to see everyone here. Nicholas is in the legislature, and he's likely that's why he wasn't here tonight, because he had a very full 2 days already in the legislature. They're sitting for 8 weeks this summer, and he's also been on the select standing committee meetings for government and finance, and they've been sitting in June. They've been having virtual meetings throughout the month of June. And he's also sitting on the select standing committee meeting for children and youth. So he's been very busy, not to mention all the things that we're fielding with COVID and all the other concerns that we're getting from the community in regards to either personal situations or the larger issues that we're all seeing with BC ferries or whatnot. In regards to our office is not open yet. We had a fire last May, and we're just moving in, getting everything set up. And technically our office is still closed due to COVID. I've taken a few notes here, so I'm just looking at them. Sorry. It's also been very busy with BC timber sales. Egmont and North Lake, Skookumchuck Trail, Ruby Lake are all up. There's, I believe I heard there are 24 cut blocks that were being negotiated, and those are pretty highly sensitive areas. Skookumchuck Trail has 50,000 visitors each year. And so we've been involved with meetings with the BC Timber Sales, Thinco, and the local community up there. And there's a public hearing this Thursday. So Reed Road is coming up, that's in Gibsons. And so I know that that's an engagement process that's going to be started soon. And I think that's it for now. Just like to say we're glad that the library is in Gibsons is going to be open or opening up soon. So personally, I've been kind of keeping an eye on the doors there and seeing if any lights are on. So I'm just glad to hear about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, for that. Lucy, do you want to add anything?
No, I don't really. It's just great to be here, and thank you to everyone. This is just amazing. I actually live in Elphinstone, so I love seeing the photograph of my beach area where I walk every morning. That's for sure. But you know, as far as our office is concerned, you know, we've been really just focused on trying to help people in the riding and on the Sunshine Coast to avail themselves of the financial supports that we've been able to provide as a government. And just one note that I want to make, and that is for Canada Summer Jobs. And thank you to all of the employers up here on the coast who are able to provide jobs for youth this summer. It's amazing. And we're just happy to be able to help with that for sure. So yeah, thanks, Bill. That was great.
Rob Michaels, are you still with us?
Thank you, Mayor. I am still here.
Thank you.
I would love to pass as I'm very mindful of the time, but I have to put a plug in for my volunteers here. So please bear with me. So since the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 outbreak a pandemic, it prompted the Gibsons and District Volunteer Fire Department to rethink how we operate effectively and safely in these new conditions. Overnight, the most dangerous situation volunteer fire department members faced was getting together for practices and callouts. The risk to fire department volunteers also shifted dramatically as medical calls began to rival structure fires in regards to the threat to their personal safety. In response, fire department members were broken down into teams to prevent unnecessary exposure, practice sessions were halted, and social gatherings were canceled. Although this has been proven to be effective in preventing transmission, members are greatly missing their regular practice sessions and social interactions. It has only been recently that practice sessions have resumed on a greatly reduced scale and frequency. For 2020, the Gibsons and District Volunteer Fire Department had to shift focus and adapt quickly to the worldwide pandemic. Some of the changes may be temporary, however, others may be more permanent. Yet, the Gibsons Fire Department continues to enhance the relationships with partner agencies and other stakeholders. The department continues to work towards fulfilling the recommendations contained in the SRD Fire Department Strategic Plan initially presented in 2019. The fire department wants to focus 2021 on volunteer firefighter recruitment and retention. In 2019, volunteer members spent close to 4,200 hours practicing and approximately 2,800 hours responding to callouts. Volunteers receive a nominal compensation for their attendance practice sessions and nothing for their response to emergency incidents. The fire department feels that alternate or improved compensation methods for volunteers would greatly enhance recruitment and retention efforts. This may come in a form of a paid-on-call system or paid benefits for volunteers. There also may not be a one-size-fits-all approach, and more detailed research needs to be complete before formal recommendations are put forward for consideration. Additionally, and hearing from this group, I think it's quite timely, considerations for affordable housing for first responders may be something to consider to ensure our dedicated volunteers have the ability to remain in our community, available to answer the call and if needed to help our families, neighbors, and visitors. hopefully I wasn't on mute that whole time.
No, you weren't. You're okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, Rob. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for sticking with it. I appreciate it's a long evening. I am going to send out through the office a feedback form to get some comments from you. Don't bother saying it was a long meeting. We all know that. We were all here. Thank you for that thought off the top. I would be great if we could do this in person and maybe have some feature presentations, and we'll look forward to that next time. And but I really appreciate the commitment that you all have in the community. We couldn't do it without you, and we can help you in any way that we can as a town. So please don't hesitate to come to council. We do still have some community grant money available. So September is our next intake for community grants. So don't hesitate to think on that and get an application in. Patrick Weiler, our MLA, or MP rather. Patrick, you've traveled the furthest to join us from Ottawa. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Or you just didn't? There you are.
Sorry, I'm just having some dinner here as we're chatting.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I just want to say that it's been really great to see a lot of familiar faces again today, and you know, I definitely miss so many of you, and you know, it's great to see some new faces and hear about you know, both what's been going on with you know, with your organizations, and hear about some of the challenges, and to hear some of the new opportunities that are coming up as well. And I am looking forward to participating on the call with businesses on Thursday, which will be very interesting as well. But it really does speak to the incredible community that we have in Gibsons and on the whole Sunshine Coast. And it's really been incredible to see how everybody's come together during this pandemic. Bill, thank you very much for organizing this. Thank you for the town of Gibsons for organizing this, and love to participate in another one of these. But hopefully it won't be too long until we can do that in person. And I'm very much looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to when the the restrictions on non-essential travel are going to be lifted, hopefully very soon, because I can't wait to get back to the coast and to see everybody in person. So thanks again.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, Manny, for sticking with us tonight for support. It's late, and we have another full day of meetings tomorrow, and we'll be doing this again tomorrow night with a council meeting, and you're all welcome to attend. So thank you very much. So thanks, everybody. It's been great to see you all. Thank you. Yeah. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Okay.